Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're tackling a subject that is, well, truly monumental. We're going to be breaking down a period of history that absolutely redefined human existence, World War II. Our goal today is to take a focused, structured look at the sheer scale of the conflict and the profound human suffering it caused. We want to distill this massive, honestly incomprehensible reality into clear insights. So let's dive right in. Sex. Just 6 years. But for those 6 dark, agonizing years, the entire world was literally on fire. When we study history, it's just so easy to compress time in our minds, right? To look at a textbook and flip a page from 1939 to 1945 in a single second. But I really want you to pause for a moment and think about the weight of those 6 years. 6 years of continuous global trauma, uncertainty, and devastation. It was this sustained period where the normal rules of human existence were entirely suspended. Let's start with Section 1, the global fire. This macro-level impact fractured reality in 3 really distinct ways. First off, it toppled empires. Centuries-old power structures like the sprawling Japanese empire and the vast colonial holdings of European powers were just completely dismantled or mortally wounded. Second, it reshaped the modern world. The geopolitical map splitting Europe into East and West, our rapid advancements in aviation, nuclear technology, international relations, literally everything we know today was forged right in the furnace of this conflict. And third, and this is perhaps the most staggering point, no life went unchanged. Every single part of the globe was touched in some way. This wasn't just some localized dispute. This was an event massive on a scale that absolutely no one had ever seen before. Whether you were right there on the front lines or thousands of miles away, your reality shifted. We're talking about extreme theaters of war spanning the entire globe here. Soldiers faced brutal naval and air engagements in the freezing, totally unforgiving conditions of the Arctic. Then you had close quarters, terrifying combat in the dense, humid, disease-ridden jungles of the Pacific. And let's not forget the massive armored tank battles rolling across the harsh, scorching deserts of North Africa. The logistics, the endurance, the sheer scope of humanity warring across all these incredibly diverse biomes is, well, it's almost impossible to fully grasp. Moving on to Section 2, murder on an industrial scale. This was a war of absolute annihilation. It was, quite literally, murder on an industrial scale. Human beings were utilizing factories, mass production, and advanced technology not to build things, but to destroy life with this terrifying mechanical efficiency. We are talking about numbers so large they just blur into statistics. Tens of millions dead, entire cities leveled by bombers. But, and this is absolutely crucial, we must never let those massive statistics blind us to the human cost. Every single death was uniquely suffered. Millions perished, yes, but every one of those millions was a life, a whole universe of potential, snuffed out in a moment of individual agony. It's a really powerful and devastating juxtaposition that we always have to keep in mind. Which brings us to Section 3, the human element. We need to zoom in on the micro level now, the human decisions, the leadership, and the incredibly specific on-the-ground experiences of the people who actually lived through this nightmare. As the crisis deepened and Europe fell, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill made a desperate appeal to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He stated simply, "We need to stop it." That single sentence perfectly captures the immense, high-stakes diplomacy of the era. The leaders of the free world were looking at the rapid spread of tyranny and realizing that the stakes were absolute. There was this incredibly stark realization driving these decisions. There could only be one victor and one vanquished. The world was simply not big enough for both sides to coexist. It was a fight for the very survival of their nations. And as those high-level decisions filtered down, they created a merciless reality on the ground. Over in the Pacific Theater, Japanese commanders issued ruthless orders to their soldiers not to take any prisoners. Just think about how that directive fundamentally changes the nature of combat. It completely removes any traditional rules of engagement. It ensures that every single battle is a fight to the absolute death, with no quarter asked and no quarter given. It really highlights the brutal, uncompromising directives that shaped the day-to-day horror experienced by the soldiers fighting in the mud and the jungle. Yet even within all that horror, we see incredible adaptability and resilience in the human spirit. Take Stalingrad, for instance. Fighting for total survival, women became a vital part of the Red Army effort. And they didn't just support from the rear. They learned to shoot, they took up arms, and they became highly effective and highly feared snipers.
It really spotlights the pivotal, inspiring roles that everyday individuals stepped into when their backs were against the wall. The traditional boundaries of society were completely rewritten by the absolute necessity of survival against an invading force.
Finally, Section 4, the price of freedom. So, what does this all mean for us? How did this unprecedented conflict shape the freedom we value most today? Because, honestly, that is the ultimate takeaway from this explainer. The incredible, unthinkable sacrifices made by millions of individuals across those extreme theaters of war weren't just for territory. They saved that which is most valued by us all, freedom. World War II changed everything, for all of us. The world you and I live in today, the liberties we enjoy, the international laws protecting human rights, the very structures of our societies, they were all bought and paid for during those 6 dark years. I really want you to reflect on that connection between their historical suffering and your modern reality. Now, if this explainer has sparked your curiosity, and I certainly hope it has, all of the incredible scope and human stories we've touched on today are at the heart of the new series World War II with Tom Hanks. It premieres Memorial Day at 8 o'clock, part of History Honors 250, exclusively on the History Channel. I really challenge you to tune in and uncover the deeper answers to how this event reshaped our reality. So, as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this final thought to carry with you. When a single event demands such an unimaginable price in human life, do we, in the modern day, carry a continuous obligation to earn the freedom they secured for us? Think about it. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.